London Property, home of Super Prime, where you can find informative, educational and entertaining content covering all aspects of property.
Hello and welcome to the London Property Podcast. Today we're in conversation from Lee Summers, who joins us from New York. Welcome to London, Lee.
Thank you.
I think in particular we're going to speak, first of all, about who is Lee Summers, but I would love to have our audience understand a lot more about Summers Global Team as well. So let's start. Tell us about you and your experience and who is Lee Summers?
Who is Lee Summers? Okay. I worked for Sotheby's International Realty as an international director for over 20 years and moved on to Compass, a technology-based real estate company who wanted the international concept. And the international concept, I spent over 20 years traveling around the world, handling people and deals from every country, and made quite a lot of friends, big client base, and decided to form at Compass something that would be a little bit unusual from a personal point. That would be a team of people from different countries in the States, in Europe, and of course in Asia. Asia has been closed up for a couple of years, so that's hard. It's a little bit on hold for the time being. And have a Summers Global Team person in France, in the UK, in Italy, handle the needs of anybody who wants to buy or sell with an international market. We do all the marketing in New York, but basically we all have friends who we could be at a dinner party and somebody says, "Oh, I just always wanted a little place in Paris. I have to call my lawyer and see how I can find one." And you say, "Well, I can help you. I know someone, can help you." What we do is we have clients, we have the brokers who can help clients in all different countries, and they're part of the Summers Global Team. And it's a referral business.
So basically, when you're thinking about the kind of super high net worth individual, they do often have an international lifestyle.
Yes.
And what you're saying is when you already have that relationship, then you know the mindset and you know how to help them in different jurisdictions. And with your experience, you know how to choose those people who can help you support these.
And if you have a client that you're working with, let's say you have sold someone a flat in London, and now they mention, oh, well, maybe they would like Los Angeles. How do we go about that? They, oh, well, I actually have a partner in Los Angeles, and we can help you, and I'll stay involved. And that's what we refer to the person, and then you work together, and we can get accountants for them. We can rent the apartments out, the houses out. We can do a lot of things. And it's all also market driven. So we do beautiful brochures and, the contact by sending out on contact lists, mailings. And so we become actually fairly well known. Social media, of course, everybody does that. Yeah. And, so it's become the the Summers Global Team. And, I'm here in London now expanding, on the UK, adding one or two brokers. I interview everybody who is on my team. They have to pass muster with me. They have to have a certain personality, that I feel would be good for the team because they're actually representing my name. And they're all individual brokers and successful brokers.
So with your wealth of experience, what are the top 3 characteristics that you look for when you are interviewing one of these super agents?
When you look for, somebody would say, well, of course you want someone with a lot of clients and everything. Well, that would be nice. Yeah. You want somebody actually who's personally pleasing, who's a team player. Team player is very important. We keep a Summers Global Team WhatsApp, group app where we tell jokes to each other, some interaction. We want, I look for somebody who, I said team player, good personality, and then somebody who is connected. Somebody who, when you say, send a Send an email to all your contacts. Tell them what you do. And they do it. They want to do it. That, they're involved. So you look for that little something that somebody might have.
If you had to give a short summary of what is Summer's global team so that anybody listening understood how they could use this service, what would that be? What would that description be?
Today, the world is small, so small that your one client can live anywhere. And you literally are helping that client live anywhere he wants to live. Instead of saying, I just handle North London, or, I'm good for Chelsea. I can help you anywhere you want to be. And of course, I have a huge, the old word Rolodex of names from people from all over. So let's say one of my team cannot help. I have somebody who can, somebody that I know, a contact from, my travels. So that's what I would say it is.
Okay. Now, you obviously have a lot of experience from your current role and from your previous role at Sotheby's dealing internationally. And we have touched on this subject before offline, but tell us about how London fits into this picture of how real estate transactions and real estate professionals manage their day-to-day activity. What are we doing that is a little bit different, let's say, to the rest of the world?
In America, we're quite regulated and we share. I think sharing is I want to be emphatic. Sharing. Every deal is shared. You have a property. You have a client. The client wants something. In the States, you go on computer and they have 20,000 brokers giving you all you have appointments. You will be able to show your client everything on the market. You come to London and one firm has one thing. Another firm has another thing. I understand there's a firm, I'm not going to even name them, that only shows its properties. It's a very famous firm and it shows its properties. And when they finish showing those properties, they actually say to the client, well, things will be coming on. We would never have that in the States. We would just show another 10 and then another 10 because basically we're sharing the listings. We split the fees. We share the listings. It's called co-broking. And it's the law. It's the law in the States.
So this is a problem that we're having here is that there isn't really enough commission to go around for all the different participants. And that results in the whole process being fragmented both for the seller and the buyer.
It's your commissions are quite low, even compared to even European standards. Whereas in Spain it's 5%, in Italy they have a new law which is 3%. The seller pays 3% to his selling broker, and the buyer pays 3% to the buying broker. Now here you do have buyers brokers, and they do get paid by their broker who is handling them. They're paying a fee up front and they're paying a fee. And then the seller is paying his broker. So that you do have that, but if I have a client and I come here and I say, her budget is, 10 million pounds. And, who do I call? I mean, I can call one agency and then I have to call another agency because everybody's handling individual things. It's not, I had a client once who actually, I was not here with them. They actually walked up and down into the real estate stores that they saw pictures because they were looking to buy something and they couldn't get a broker to help them find in different, unless they had a buyer's broker, then they would cull, I gather, the different, places.
And this is not something that you see in other countries?
I do not see this in other countries.
You don't see buyers, brokers, you just see a lot of commission to go around. And then therefore, if you go to one broker agent, you can go to everybody else on behalf of that purchaser.
Well, I have to amend that a little bit. In the States, yes. In Europe, as I mentioned, Italy, it is divided up. We have a case where somebody wants Como, an American buyer, and my head of my Italian team, Angelo Savioli, he called every contact he had in Como, and they shared it with him. He had to make the effort to call all of them because nothing is on a computer base. And he came up with like 8 things that he could take this client to by calling them, sometimes begging to share it. We come from it's okay to make half the money. It's fine than making nothing. Yeah. So in London, it is hard because your commissions are low and there's no sharing. So the combination of them both makes it hard to make a great deal of money.
Yes.
And you've got some great brokers here, some really good brokers who are on the ball. I'm very impressed by them, but they're fighting against a system that's not working for them.
Well, from my understanding, it's part of the reason for this is because we're not actually required to be qualified. So there is no barrier to entry. And when that happens, it keeps the cost down for the consumer, but then it also affects the way you have to navigate the market and sadly sometimes also the quality of the service that you're going to get because, the person needs no qualifications, doesn't need to know anything. And the difference also between the States and London, for example, is that a transaction is actually handled by a lawyer here, whereas the whole transaction almost entirely is handled by the agent in the States, right?
No. Each state is a different law. Remember, we're a land of different states with different states' rights. So in New York City, as soon as I make the deal, I hand it over to a lawyer. I can't do anything. But in California, the agent handles that. The, eco things and all of those things, they handle that. So each state is different. But a little fast story. My head of Spain is Eduardo Mariano Martinez, and he worked in New York for 6 years and actually worked at Compass. And he went back, his wife's a diplomat, and he went back and said, I'm going to open up an office in Madrid. He opened up an office and using American methods. He then took all the properties, he marketed to get properties, and he co-broke them out to everyone. The different agencies said, what are you doing? You're giving me this, listing? It's your listing? He says, no, I'm sharing this listing with you. You bring a client, we're going to share the money. In Spain, though, it's 5%, so he said, we're going to share. He says it threw them all in their ear. Well, he is doing so fantastically well. There's so many people coming in. He's doing so much business. He's been open only a year because he's sharing everything. So it's working.
So your conversation is inspiring. I hope the rest of the listeners, as it's inspiring me, that we should really insist on charging the 3%, which is the maximum that people charge here in London, in order to be able to do a better service, get a quicker deal at a better price for clients.
So if you have to share 1.5% each, fine, but at least there'll be properties, at least there'll be things, to see. The object is to service the client and not say, oh God, I'm only going to get this amount of money. I'm not going to bother.
Because the other big difference between the two is that in America, it's very much agent driven, which we call negotiator here. Whereas in London, it's very much brokerage driven. So, you deal with the brokerage who's your main point of contact, and then they have their negotiators that do the deal, whereas in America, it's the other way around.
The agent is everything. In America, the agent is a strength. And that's why there is so much. I actually just got a call now to try to move me away from my agency. They try to get you're literally, they try to steal you, the different, because the agent is the one that's powerful. The agent is everything in New York. We have a lot of agents, though. New York City has 20,000. You have a lot of competition. Mm-hmm.
And also the other thing is that the brokerages then have to have all the bells and whistles to attract you, right? They've got to make sure that they've got the proper marketing look and they've got the proper tech support and all the backup that you as a super agent are going to require. And I think, London is starting to make noises about going in that direction where, the bigger firms are kind of moving away from expensive negotiators and negotiators are moving into being a lot more independent. So I think we are going through this change.
Well, that's good.
But perhaps not right now for what you're looking for.
We're very Silicon Valley driven, and Compass, which came from that's all tech, started out as tech. The firm is only over 6 years old, and it's like number one. They have taken brokers from all over. So they opened up offices all over the United States. And in New York, they actually have, I think, in about 6 offices. I'm talking about major buildings, housing, and they have a huge amount of brokers. And they have 300 technology workers. So I want marketing. I want this. I want this. I want this. And they do it all for you. There's some marketing fees. You do pay, some of the marketing fees. But they do it and they send it out, everything. It's big business. Real estate is big business and it's a serious business.
I think that's a fact everywhere in the world. But, we do need to minimize the waste here, I think, and maximize the profits.
I think, yes. And it isn't so much that your commissions are so low, which they are the lowest of anywhere. It's unfortunate. But even if we kept that, if the people would just share and say, okay, we'll do the 1.5. It's okay. We're just going to do it. It would be such a big change. If you could get Savills and Foxtons and all of these firms to just work together, even make a computer base together. Can you imagine them putting their listings on a mutual computer base? And then people would be able, and you would be able to handle a client by going in and seeing there's 10 listings from different agencies all over London. How easy would your life be then on taking clients out?
Well, let's hope our conversation is going to inspire some change.
I'm
not sure I'm very happy about London being known for being cheap in one thing that affects my pocket, but that certainly needs to change. It's been a really fascinating conversation with you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
And it's certainly going to be inspiration for our listeners to have a place to go to when they've got international demand.
That would be very nice. Nice. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Lee.
Thanks for listening to the London Property Podcast. Head over to londonproperty.co.uk and subscribe to our newsletter to receive latest updates.